everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I'm here with episode 3 of the Flea Market Style Traveler's Notebook series, and today we're going to make the first page of our book. So this is actually going to be pages 1 to 59 and 60. So I'm going to just do kind of like a walkthrough of each page with you. At the end of this series, I think I'll probably do a write-up, like a design that can be downloaded on this this plan, this whole layout. But today we're going to do the layout for the first page. So I believe there's a total of 14 pages in here, like 14 pieces of paper in my plan. Oh, sorry, 15 for a total of 60 pages. So on to page number 1. So I'll show you the example that I did ahead of time for this journal. So what we have is on the opening page, I really like to use a vintage photo. It's like I've done that in a lot of journals that I create, and I think it's just a really nice way to set the tone. So we're going to have a vintage photo, and then in here we're going to have what I call a storyteller's tag. So we'll make a tag and we'll use word snippets to tell a story. This one says, "When twilight falls, lay down under a big tree to rest, telling the nicest fairy tales." So there's also a little postage stamp collage up top, and this is on scrapbook paper. On back, I added this napkin to the back here. This has been glued down. It's just a beautiful napkin. And then there's a paper clip hanging on to a floating pocket made from this beautiful scrapbook paper, and it's backed with some book page, and then we have this nice little piece of stationery in here, and that will go in there and just clip on here. Then on this side we've made a lace tuck on the side, and this is an authentic piece of ephemera. It's a vintage postcard sent to Waterloo from the Netherlands, and it has all this beautiful text on it. It's very difficult to read, but it's also, I don't believe in English, no, but it's a lovely old postcard, and that goes in here. Then on this side we are back to scrapbook paper, and this is an altered paper clip cluster, and then a journaling card made from a vintage children's book with a tab. So that's the recipe we're going to use for the opening page. So I'm going to recreate that with you now for this journal, this one here. So I will just set this aside. So the scrapbook paper that I want to use for this one is this, because I feel like the colors just go really well with the cover, and that's kind of what I'm trying to accomplish with this, is being able to use something that's going to match well. And I'm going to just fold it in half this way because I want it to go this way. Then we'll just double check the dimensions of the book. It's probably about 5.5 by 9. So yeah, a little over 5.5 by 9. So the page itself, I'm going to make it about 5.25 by just short of 9, 8.5 maybe, or 8.75. So this way, I'm going to chop the white off the bottom. And then I will go to about 8.75. And then this direction, we're going to go about 5.25. And that can go in scrap, and that can go in trash or recycling. Okay, we'll get that out of the way. Now at this stage you can decide if you want to round the corners of all your pages. You don't have to, but you can, because they will fit inside the cover of the book just fine. If you notice that you do need to trim a bit, go ahead and do so. I think I'm completely fine. So let's get started on this. So we begin with creating, actually I'm going to do the decoupage first on the back here. It's a very simplified kind of decoupage, and I'm going to use this. It's a blue with bright lemons on it paper, and looking for my, oh there it is, my tape, so that I can use a little piece of tape to just get this up off of the napkin. So you can use a piece of tape to take the backing sides of your napkin off. There's usually at least 2. There could even be more. This one has 2. Because we don't want the thickness of all that napkin on there. So there's a couple of ways that you can decoupage napkin. You can definitely use Mod Podge. I think it's a lot easier to just use glue stick. You can Mod Podge over top of the glue stick if you want that more hard texture. I prefer the soft texture of the napkin. It's also very nice to write on, so I'm not going to Mod Podge at all. So I'm just covering the whole thing very liberally in glue. Making sure to get the corners. Now, one thing I am going to do with this, because I'm attaching something on the whole back of the page, is I am going to stitch around the edge. Okay, so then just kind of place your napkin, and I'm not really too much of a stickler if it wrinkles a bit. I kind of like that. I think it adds like nice texture. But I mean, you can use a credit card and you can like very carefully iron it all out. All right, so then we'll flip and just trim as best you can to the edges. It's a little tricky cutting the napkin, but not too bad. Okay. So now we have our napkin on. Now just give me a moment while I go and I stitch around the edges. Okay, we are all stitched around, so then just give that a press. And now we can get started on our page. So the first thing that we need to do is create this pocket that goes on the bottom with the vintage photo. So the vintage photo that I got is this one. It's this soldier holding this adorable little girl with these cute little white boots. This is a photo from like probably the early 1950s. I think this is from a 1953 set of photos that I got. Now this photo, it's quite thin. The one I used here was actually a photo postcard, so it's considerably thicker. And what I wanted to do also is I want to add a tab, like a little fabric tab to the top of this. So I'm going to back it with some thicker paper. So before I do that though, I'm going to do my little postage stamp collage just like I did up here. So I selected 3 stamps. There's this Canada one with this little white flower. So we'll put that up here. And then this one is just, I think it says Cronin 45. Not sure where that's from. Oops. And then this one, it's another old, this is Helvetia. So I'll just plunk that one right there. So now we've got our little stamp collage there. So now I need a piece of thicker paper. Maybe I'll just actually use some scrap paper. And what I will do is just glue this together because it's not very thick. This should be a good using up the scraps project for you. So just go ahead and glue stick your photo onto this backing. Then what I'll do is cut the top off here. Then I'm going to take this fabric, and it's just a little piece of like black crackly fabric. And I'm going to cover it completely with glue stick on my glue book over here, which is probably out of frame, but that's okay. I'm just going to add it like a tab to the top of this pocket. And when you glue the fabric, it stays very nice and straight. So now what I'll do is take a break, and I'm just going to stitch around the photograph. So I'll be right back. Okay, so this has been stitched around. Now I'll just cut the excess paper off. Okay, now we are ready to add this to the page, which I will do with our glitter glue. We're just going to glue on the bottom and the side facing the outside of the page. Just kind of line the stitching up. You could also stitch this onto your page at the time that you are stitching around the page. Okay, now we need to make a collaged story tag like this one. So let's just set these aside. And what I selected to do that is torn out from a children's fairy tale book page. It's just this little kid sitting on a bed. You can see a candlestick in the background. So what I will do is, no, this paper, hold on. It's grabbing a piece of paper. So just a piece of paper from scraps. Again, we just need to back it first. Oops, and then just glue together the two pieces. I'm going to be stitching around it, so I'm not too concerned about if these stay really well stuck together. Then I will just snip the corners. Then I need my word snippets, which I pre-selected so that I wouldn't make you wait. This one. Pardon my reach, I've just got my supplies back here to create everything. Okay, so this one is going to say "To the Woods." Magic powers. Chance to see the world. So So we're just writing a little story for this child. They're starting an adventure. All right, now we need a piece of fabric for the top of the tag. And I have this very thin kind of strip. So I think what I will do with it maybe is maybe double it over like this, and when I stitch it on, I will stitch it like that. So give me a moment and I will be right back. Okay, so I've stitched around the tag and we've got the fun loopy top of this piece of fabric. Then what I will do is just a bit of grungy walnut stain around the edges of the back of the tag. Oops, we have something stuck here. A little bit of glue. There we go. Oops, and just a little tiny tear in this paper. Just paste that down. There we go. And then I'll probably just put a little over the words here. Okay, so we have our tag, and that pops right here in this pocket. I'll pull it up a little. There we go. So now we're on to this page. So page number 2, we need a paper clip to hold a floating pocket that's going to be on here. So I'll set this aside, and the floating pocket, the way that I'm going to make it, this is an offcut of scrapbook paper that I have here, and what I'm going to do is just trim it down to about, you know, this much. Essentially, you just want it to be a pocket for a piece of paper. So I think I'll probably go to here. Then we want to back this very white backing with some book page. So I'm going to just cover the whole top here. Just glue it all down. And then we will grab the book page. This is a grungy coffee dyed and yellow stained book page. And then at the back, just go ahead and trim. So now we have this, and what I want to do is round the corners completely. Okay, and now I'm going to go and stitch around the edge. Be right back again. Okay, so this has all been stitched around. Now I'm just going to ink around it as well. On both sides. Okay. And then inside this, it calls for a small piece of stationery. So I have many of these types of little bits of paper that are just from like little notepads and things. This one is beautiful. It has all these mushrooms on it. And you could, if you don't have little papers like this, you can make your own stationery very easily. You could use a page from a book, and then just back the back with white paper, kind of like a journaling card. Or you could make your own, you know, stamped paper, dyed paper, inked paper, jelly print, stencil, you know, many, many, many things we can do. So that just tucks right in there. Then we take it and we put it on the page. And I think this goes really nicely with the blue, with the lemons. It's a lot of fun. And then this is just a vintage paper clip, and I'm going to clip it on there. Whoops. Did not clip on. There we go. Now it's clipped on. Okay, so that page is done. Now we are on to page number 59. And this one involves a lace side tuck pocket. So I have this large gray wide lace. And I'm going to just go ahead and I will just measure how far it comes out and use that as my guide to add Fabri-Tac to the edge of the page. And then all the way down. Okay. And I'm going to let it stick out just a little bit on both the top and the sides. I'll probably trim the top a little. I'll just use this little piece of paper to kind of smush the Fabri-Tac down. Okay, so that's going to need a moment to dry. And while it does, we can move on. I'll just set it aside to dry for a moment. So what we're going to put inside of that lace pocket is a vintage document of some kind. On this one, I chose a vintage postcard. You could use like a vintage, any kind of a vintage document, a piece of vintage paper, or an old, like those gardening cards. I have lots of those. I have CB cards, but what I'm choosing for this is actually something quite special. It's a very large wedding photo from the 1950s, or sorry, the 1940s. So this is Rainerson, Ontario, September 25th, 1948. And this is a tintype. It's a beautiful photo. And I just love these people. I think that they're so cute. She's the most beautiful bride, and he looks so happy. So that's what I'm going to use for the tuck. But that needs another moment to dry. So let's just put that aside as well. And we can move on to what we need to do for the back page. So we need to create an altered paper clip, which is a very easy thing to make. So just grab a paper clip. Mine is a rusty one. Yours doesn't have to be. I just don't think I have any more that I haven't rusted. So then I just take a book page and I just add some glue to half of the book page. And then I fold it over, and that gives me a little bit of thickness as a surface. So then you go ahead and you clip your paper clip on with the large section at the front and the small one at the back. Now we're going to glue things down on top of this large section on the front to make this altered paper clip. So you see it here, and then on this side it has, you know, a paper cluster essentially. So this is what we want it to look like. So let's get started and find the first backing paper. This is the part that I didn't do much planning, but I think what I'm going to try to use will be this owl. Okay, so just tear a little bit more off because it's kind of big. So then you're going to just glue the back here. I'm just going, if you can't see my glue book, it's because it's off to the side. My apologies, but it's nothing too exciting. I'm just gluing. Okay, so I covered this liberally in glue. And then you just press it down on top of your paper clip. Then this is the stage where you can choose what else you'd like to do. Just grabbing my, my bin of tiny little things to see if there's something else that I might want to add on here. You could do a word snippet, or like a little flower. just looking in here to see what I have. I might do this little postcard stamp. Hold on. So this is just a little stamp that I made. I think I may... It needs to be quite small, so we'll take this as a little... Oops. That there. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. So then I'm just going to tear... Excuse me. Sneezy day. I think it's because I was doing some cleaning this morning and I think I unearthed some dust bunnies. Okay, so now we've torn that out. Then what I will do is just probably ink around it. Okay. So that is that, and then we need to create a journal card with a tab made from a children's book. So let's do that now. Set our example aside here. And then I can probably actually check on this now. Yeah, I think it's mostly dry. So I'm just going to trim the excess lace from the bottom with these absolutely not fabric scissors. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to leave a little bit of a flip, like a little bit of sticking at the top. So I'm not going to trim it right down. All right, now we can pop our vintage document or picture in here. And hopefully that clears the spine. It seems to. What I might do is just give it a little more room. So I'm just going to gently cut on both sides, just this little bit. Only because I don't want it to get into the binding when I do the binding. There we go. Yeah, now we have a lot more room. Okay, so now let's make our journal card. I chose this image of these beautiful birds. So what I will do is I will back this onto some scrap paper. Probably this one. It's a nice old 1970s book page. Okay, so now I need a paper tab for this side. There's lots of different ways that you can make paper tabs if you don't have this, if you don't have a tab punch. You can really just cut them out. You could probably print a whale tail tab shape online and then just trace it, you know, just like cut it out. And I know they sell them on Etsy. A lot of people sell the tabs as well as like digitals of the tabs. So we'll just paste this down. Okay, and then I will stitch around that as well, and then we'll put the whole thing together. Okay, so this is all stitched around. We have a journal card now. So we will just plop this on top here. And actually, this is actually really fun how this turned out, because with this owl, we kind of replace the head of the cardinal with an owl head, and then when you take it out, you have your cardinal. So that's pretty cute. Okay, so we are all finished with our first layout, the first spread of this journal. So I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I think it's very cute so far. I think it's a nice entry point into the journal. And when we put it inside here, I think it goes very well. So when you open it up, you will see this, and it's really cute. So thank you again for joining me. And I hope you'll join me on this make along, because I think we're going to have a lot of fun making a really cute little traveler's notebook type journal. And so I have completed 2 pages for 2 journals. We only have a few more to go. So thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.